Welcome to Identity Unboxed, where we provide mentorship and promote representation for Black professionals in the advancement of the Black community.
We are seeking guidance from exceptional Black leaders, scholars, and professionals with expertise in their respective fields.
We hope to foster a space that promotes authenticity, inclusivity, and restoration for our listeners while exploring the intersection of our personal and professional lives.
This project is a culmination of our lived experiences as young Black professionals to transform our life trajectories to overcome adversity and reach triumph.
Our intention is to inspire you on your path to discovering your purpose.
It is okay to be you. At the same time, I would have also told myself, hey, it's okay to not be okay. Because I think, like you just said, Brad, is we're told, suck it up. Deal. You're going to deal with that anyway. And I just wish I would have loved me more. And so I think if I could go back in time and tell the 12-year-old Jay, I probably would have been like, hey, I love you. I don't like you. I love you. And I'm going to love you through all the things that maybe you don't understand. Because I did not feel loved as a child. I felt like I was liked based on my behavior. So therefore, if I behaved, I belonged. If I did what I was told. So again, it produced this performance side to me, where I felt like I couldn't really be myself. And, there were so many times just growing up as a kid or getting even into my adulthood, I just never felt comfortable with me. So even in my body changes or my, you're getting older, your fitness, I just never really liked or loved me, and so I felt good if I ran for 5 miles. I felt good if I felt it was like I only liked myself at times, but I didn't really love me. And when you really take the time out to love yourself, you want to discover yourself. And so I didn't really discover myself till like 2018. And so I could go back in time, I probably just would have loved myself and try to figure out a way. I would have probably been like, you got to figure out a way, man, to get around people that genuinely love you and not based on you performing.
Yeah.
Because that's how I ran my whole life, graduated. Ooh, you did well, high GPA, get a career, boom, awesome, get married right away, boom, it's all this performance, have a son, boom, it was just like a constant. And not that those things were not beautiful. I'm very grateful. But at the same time, my wife will tell you, for 13 years of our marriage, it was performance. It was always act. It was always like, we do this, because I really wasn't happy with me. So I felt like it would be good for the people. And so it wasn't until 2018, I finally was able to breathe and be me. And I realized there was a lot of things that I was doing that I didn't even like doing. It wasn't me. And some of the things or the mannerisms or life. And so that's why it was a big turnaround when I finally got my television moment, because I was like, oh, you only like this? No, we love it. Yeah. We love all of you. And so if I could go back, I probably would have said, make sure you love yourself. Yeah. Don't just like yourself, love yourself. And you're going to go through some things, but you got to love yourself through it.
Yeah. I think you really emphasized the concept of how some people can really tie their identities to accomplishments and those people that they're around. And I know that was something I really struggled with, where you feel like you're checking off boxes through life. You feel like, I'm accomplishing what my goals are. I've been able to succeed, but yet I still feel like deep down, I'm not where I want to be. Why is that? And I think that you're really trying to figure out how to uncover your individuality in a sense, figure out how to be comfortable navigating this world and losing some of those people along the way that maybe you were close with, but they no longer align with you or where you're headed.
Right. And it's interesting because, it's interesting. I'll share this with you very, very briefly, but I remember before I had the mental breakdown in December, if I was to go back 6 months earlier, probably around, say, like March, April of 2017, because I was already starting to go down a spiral. I was starting to spiral. But I had this cool series I was doing. I was interviewing people and trying to break into it, like my own stuff. But I was told I had to drive a certain car. I had to have certain bags. I could not be in regular clothes because, white folks don't respect you unless you look a certain way.
Wow.
And I had this unnecessary pressure. And then it hit me one day after I had the meltdown, and I no longer was driving the Mercedes. I
Yeah.
was wearing jeans and hoodies, and I was just being me. And I think it was just this moment. I was sitting at a park, and now everybody doesn't believe in God, but I'm just speaking for me.
Yeah.
I remember sitting, and I remember hearing a voice say, "You want to know why it didn't work out for you, Jay, back then?" And I said, "Why?" And clearly, he said to me, it was like, "It's because how can people help you if you already look like you've been helped? You
Wow.
had pretended to be something that you weren't.
God. Yeah.
So you had pushed out this image. And so you look like you already had made it. So there was no need for somebody to say, 'Can I help you?' And it was based on how I grew up. I had to look a certain way. I had to be a certain thing. I had to sound a certain way. And so there was I didn't present this aspect of, hey, I'm open to learning some things. Because when you're carrying around a Louis bag in the three-piece suit, you look like you are the boss."
Yeah.
And so I had this way of, altering my voice and all of. So at that moment, I realized there was no way I could have received anything possibly new back then, because I was only being this image that I really didn't want to be. On top of it, when the real opportunity is coming your way, it can't really discover you because you're being fake and it's looking for you. So when I decided to be myself, that's when my real opportunity said, there he is.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh, that is powerful. I know so often we're like, as Black folk, we're so dead set on looking like we made it because we've gone without so much.
Mhm.
That part. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
we are so anxious to get a seat in the room, a seat at the table to make change that, we have to essentially fake it till we make it. And a lot of times that comes back to fight, it comes back, it crumbles. And
Yeah.
it goes back to rebuilding. Like you said, you have to rebuild and find who you are. Just tear it all down. So that would thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And Jay, I really wanted to discuss how you're able to ground yourself through all of this now, where you're in this kind of a high point of your life and you've gone through so much. And I just appreciate you being so open with us and just honest. And I would just really like to hear how you're able to ground yourself. And you're a father, you're a busy father of three, your working career, you have your show, your podcast. You're also a journalist for Crosscut too in your free time. And I just would love to hear how you're able to kind of balance it all and ground yourself.
I think the biggest thing for me, um, I will say God is at the center. Now, this is me because I went through a lot of trauma in church. And so, that's a whole nother, whole nother topic. But I learned that God loves all of me. And so it's easy for me to just have moments where I'm so thankful. I think that one of the biggest things people can do is always be thankful. Always be thankful. And so I make sure I take time out just to have moments like that, to self-reflect, remember your journey. That keeps me grounded. I think the reason why people go off and they change, it's because they drop the aspect of remembrance. There is power in memory. One of the scariest things that can happen to a human being is what? The ability to not remember something.
Mhm.
And so reflecting is powerful. It's not that you pitch a tent, you live in it. It's just you go back and you remember the milestones of getting somewhere. And so I have those self moments where I just sit down and I'm like, wow, I remember when it was this. I remember when I pushed the button. There's power in remembering, and that keeps me grounded along with God, knowing that He loves all of me, and I'm very thankful. And then also my family. The funny thing is, what I love about my family is, yes, I'm on television. Yes, events. I do all these amazing things. And I will say this, I believe they are proud of like, yeah, it's cool to work, but they're not so impressed with me that they don't really just be real with me.
Yeah, yeah.
So they keep it grounded. Dad, get in that kitchen and cook that food. Or,
Yeah.
because I love to cook for my kids and for people. So that's one of the things I love to do is when I go do something really big, I make sure I come home and I keep that routine. I get in the kitchen, I cook, I talk, I laugh, I play my music, my favorite bands, and they know I'm home. And that keeps me grounded. My faith is a big thing, like I said. I'm very, very grateful. And I think there's just something powerful about remembering where you come from. Remembering when all you got was no's and now you're getting yeses. Don't forget it, because that's when all of a sudden you think that you can do it all by yourself, and no, you can't. It takes a team. It takes a team. And also fitness is big for me too. I love my F45. That's why I love going there, because I can kind of just de-stress and and it's not about the chiseled body. It's just about you are moving your body. A lot of times, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of people in my family that worked out or did anything where I saw it was just, we ate and laughed. That was it. And if we danced, that was a good time. That was the fitness. But I wanted to create something different for my children where they know their dad works out. He hangs around all people, and it's great. So.
Yeah.
It's so good that you're being a model for your children, and you're showing them different people from different races, different backgrounds, and really showing them that no matter where you come from or what your background is, we are all human. And I know you mentioned, growing up in a white family around white people, not really knowing your identity. So now going through your journey and discovering your identity and who you are, what does Blackness mean to you?
I got my grandma would say, Blackness is everything.
Yeah. I love that.
It's everything. I think also Blackness is also owning it. Mm-hmm. And, to be, like I said, to be honest with you, I grew up predominantly around white people. And so I lived up north. And so my parents didn't really on purpose really introduced me around a lot of like our people. So I really didn't know of Black excellence. I didn't know of like Black owned businesses and all of that stuff, because everything was white. Even down to when I went to a Christian school, I was like the only Black kid, that went to the school. And so fast forward, it is so awesome to have people in my line of business or not in my line of business, but they're succeeding and they're Black. And there's so many untold stories, and it's excellent. And so I think a part of Blackness is just surrounding yourself around the excellence of who we are as a people. We have so much to offer. And I think that it is so important to own who you are as an individual. Finally, for myself, I did that. In 2018, I began to own it. It's almost like, yes, I deserve to have a seat at this table.
Yeah.
And own this seat, and I'm going to present it, whatever I have to say, and I'm going to walk away feeling good. Yeah. And so I think that's what I try to do in all of the things. And I think that's something to me with Blackness is just really owning it, supporting your brothers and sisters, supporting those that are out there, even down to my glasses, down to my glasses. It's by a Black-owned business.
I love that. Yes.
And so I'm just so grateful. But I think one of the things is like, own it and be excellent.
Yeah.
That's Black.
I love that. Yeah. And we define Blackness by through the world and what we choose to do and how we choose to get back. And so I think that's important too. Realize that the definition should not be created by others. It's created by us.
Because it's easy, just because if you only saw one thing, we were talking about before we started it, that's all I saw, white people. Everything was white. And that's why I said, I don't even think it's necessarily a preference I was saying earlier, like, of course, I'm so grateful for my beautiful wife, and she is Caucasian, but when all you've grown up around is that, it's not a shock that you marry, that ethnicity. And I'm sure if I was in a different city, I probably would have married maybe something different. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows what the story would have been? But again, I'm so grateful for my wife. But again, if it's all you've seen, why would you be shocked? And so I, on purpose, allow my children, when I have dinners or get-togethers, I bring all people to the house. So that way they can see, oh, there's more than just what I've grown up. That's it? No, there's so much more. There's so much more. And so, but if they do marry white, awesome, great. I have no problem. But it's just, I want to make sure as a parent that I do what I can to show them the world, because my dad and mom didn't really show me the world, fortunately. And they weren't, and it was like, Black is ghetto. That is not the truth. But that's the stuff you heard. Black women are hard.
And it's sometimes subconsciously too.
Yeah.
What we think, even though
Yeah.
I know,
I
yeah. And I would say, like, this is getting really, really real. But like growing up in white spaces, being hyper aware of how I'm talking, how I'm dressing, not wanting to dress black, like even my hair. I used to straighten my hair. I had ruined my curls my whole life. I was so embarrassed of my hair. I would wake up and I was like, why is my hair like this? And it doesn't look pretty and straight and, you know, silky like the other girls in my class, because I was one of the only Black girls in a predominantly white town. And I remember the days I'd wear it curly, people would touch it like I was, you know, an animal, and they would say, well, I love it. They would mean well, I think, and that they wanted to appreciate it. But, you know, to me, it felt like I was a spectacle, and I was like, well, I don't want to be seen as a spectacle. But at one point in my life, I realized I was made this way, and I should, you know, my culture and who I am, and really just embrace that. And so now I've just felt so free. I had chopped off my hair in college my freshman year, and I was like, let it just grow and just, you know, just be me, and I'm Black, yes, and you know, just love it.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, because I didn't realize it was okay to just be, you know, I mean, I have I call it, like, it's like classic chic. I love to dress, even though I'm in this big. When I'm home, I'm in hoodie and sweats. Do not get me wrong, because I have to. But you know, it was almost like, for the first time when I began to discover other beautiful Black people, I was able to own my fashion sense and be myself. And really, I like to wear certain styles of clothes, and you know, because when all you see is one thing, you're like, okay, cool. And it's like, you're really flashy. No.
Right, flashing, gaudy.
You're terms. Oh, you don't want to be loud. Black people are kind of loud. You don't want to laugh too loud. You don't want to smile too much. And so I remember being told that by my own dad, you know, just like, hey, you smile too much. Oh, okay. So I stopped smiling. I mean, there's so much, you know, you white people won't take you serious. These are things that I was told, you know, and just like, oh, you can't drive that kind of a car. You have to drive. So all this unnecessary damn pressure.
Yeah.
It's pressure to try to fit into this box. And so I told even my daughter, she has beautiful curls, but want it straightened. And I said, honey, you need to own being you. You are Black, and you white in you, and you need to embrace all of it. So now she wears her hair big and curly, and I love it. Yeah, I don't want to feel like she has to do, because all she's no. And that's how it was for me. It was like you had to sound a certain way. You had to do certain things. And it's like, you realize how much you miss out. And then you're like, don't marry that, because, you know, they got attitude.
You know,
they got attitudes. They're too strong. And it's like, wow. And you get out of that, and you're like, that's not the truth. But see, the truth will set you free, but is it the real truth? I wasn't the real truth growing up. So
wow. Like, this issues.
We just went through so much. I feel like we really got into it. More importantly, than we didn't even anticipated, but it was just so important to share.
Yes.
So enriching. Well, Jay, is there anything that you would like to ask before that you would like to add, before we conclude, or ask too, if you want?
Yeah, no, I would ask questions too. This is open, you know. We're breaking down the barriers. We're stepping out of the box. That's why it's Identity Unboxed. So.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm so thankful for this moment, because again, I do so many different, like, you know, interviews and things like that, and you feel like you can't really just dive deep. And I think that's what we need. And I believe that the space that you guys are creating It's going to allow people to dive deep and not so wide. When you go wide with things, you could be shallow with stuff. But when you choose to go deep, you really get into it. And so I believe that if you guys just continue at this, you're going to give the space for people to really just sink in it and own it and tell their stories and be real. And I didn't think it was going to go this way, but you guys created that space for me. And that means that I believe it's going to be a success.
Wow.
You know, success is not based on an award. It's not based on, how many. It's consistency. Success is partnered with consistency. So if you believe in it, stick to it, and that I tell people that even with the work, I know so many people that start and stop. Just start it and keep going. Whatever that keep going is for you. It was 19 years of a little video of this commercial. Okay, I'll do it for $100. Okay, I did it for free. I mean, there was years of that with me. And now I'm so grateful because all of the journey that I've gone through, now I have the privilege of doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work for companies.
Wow.
And so I talk about stuff like this with big companies and presentations celebrating all different backgrounds and culture. And so television has opened the door for me to do so many other things that I'm so grateful for, such as moments like this. And so keep going. That's my biggest thing. Do not stop, because you're going to be able to look back one day and say, we were a part of making a difference. It was bigger than us.
I really appreciate that. It means so much, Jay, coming from you. And I really love that point you touch on where just keep going, because you never know when you're going to hit the breakthrough. You could be right there. That next door is just about to open and you might just stop right before you're going to reach, or someone's going to call or give you the email. I know you talk about that on your podcast.
I was just going to say
the next phone call or email that's going to say, hey, this opportunity is for you.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was for me. It was July of 2021.
Yeah.
And I called my friend Andrew and I was crying and I said, I think I need to get a regular job. And he was like, Jay, oh, okay. I said, why? I said, I think I'm tired. I haven't gotten my yes on television. I'm doing everything else. I have a television commercial. I've won an award. I've done a commercial this, commercial that, but I'm not a part of a network, a show. And maybe I'm getting too old. He's like, baby, you're so young. You're so young. And I just said, I'm tired. And I cry. And he says, do you want my real answer or do you want just the pat on the shoulder answer? Yeah. I said, no, keep a road with me. And he cussed me out. And then that's how he cussed me out. And then he said, but at the end, he says, you don't know what phone call, what email, or text message could change your life forever, Jay. Why would you give up? If you give up now, that means the dream was only about you.
Yep.
And I said, okay. It was 3 weeks later. I got an email. PBS is looking for a television host. It was a week from that, I got my yes.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
So you're right.
Just right there. You were literally on the precipice of
yes.
greatness. Yeah.
And I was about to say, I can't. And that's what happens to most people. It's so dark. Mm-hmm. It's probably like November at 6:30 in the morning when it's pitch black. And if they just would have pushed to 7 a.m.
Yep. I love that. Metaphor, winter in Washington, kind of, yeah.
So dark. If they just would have pushed, if they just would have just went a little bit longer, you would see. And I'm like, and so for me, there's been a few times in my life where it's been like dark 30. It's like so dark, I cannot see. And it's like, I went one more. And my son said to me, my oldest son says, one thing I love about my dad is he's going to find joy in anything.
Wow.
He'll get and so even when it's so dark, I could be crying one moment and then I'll start laughing and saying, but it'll be all right. We're going to get to talk about it. It's going to be all right. And I purposely now surround myself. So I find what's interesting, for all the years, I felt like I had no space. Mm-hmm. Now, the people that are in my life today, they just have these random moments of vulnerability. And they're like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. Yeah. And my grandma told me, it's because all those years were built up for you to now create it for other people.
Yes.
And so That's why it's bigger. It's more than TV. It's how people discover who they are and just owning it and giving them space to be. So
Yeah, it's bigger than you. And that's so important. And that's why Brad and I started this. You know, we were just thinking, how can we give back to our community? You know,
mhm.
people that we've met in our lives that have really impacted us and helped guide us when we were, you know, not in the best spot, and they kept encouraging us. And you're one of those people.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
For agreeing to come on our podcast and taking a chance to, on our new project, and be a part.
We appreciate it. Jay, last question. This is a fun one, and I know this is off script, so but I wanted to ask you because you are a chef, it seems like, on your Instagram, and I would love to hear, what's your favorite dish to cook? You are always making gourmet food, and we'd love to know.
It's funny is, I go through these random moments, but one of the things I love to cook, I cook a lot of different things, is smoked collard greens. And the reason why is I remember being on the phone with my grandma, and she walked me through it. And she said, you just have to feel it.
Yeah.
You have to feel it and you'll know. And she says, you're not making my greens, you're making your greens. Yeah. I'm just giving you a base of what I do. But one day your greens will change.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And I remember when she tasted my greens for the first time before she passed. She came up, I made her some greens, and she looked at me and she said, I could slap you.
Oh.
And I knew it. And see, again, for us as people, as Black people, we say different terms. Right. Or maybe sometimes aggressive with our compliments. Yeah. And so she said, I could slap you to the ground. These are so good. Yeah. And I love it because it always reminds me, of those moments. Yeah. And so I love making smoked collard greens, a smothered roast. Yeah. I gotta have y'all, and tell you what, I'll have y'all over and I'll cook for you.
Oh my gosh, we would love it. That would be
celebrate this episode, and you should come over and make it that. So we will make that happen.
Oh, we would love it so much. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much, Jay. This was just amazing. Wow. I mean, this was so powerful, this whole conversation. I know we went way over our time, too. So
it might need to be a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 and a part 2.
We're going to split them up,
Yeah.
Oh, we have to keep it all. We're not editing this out. So we like to keep it real,
Yes. Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, have a great rest of your Sunday. And
you too.
See you soon.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We are so grateful for your support, and thank you for listening to Identity Unboxed.
Authenticity is your guide to cast an impact on the world that you will be proud of. Signing off with pride, Tiana
and Brad.
Thank you so much.